This semester, I will be teaching 401 Senior Seminar in Management. It's a course on becoming self-aware and helping you become a better leader. This course is an eight-week Pirate Patch course, which will be taught from this host site and remote sites where students will be patching in. During this semester, you can contact me via email, or you can contact me via my cell number. I've sent you the contact information, and it is in the Canvas shell under Instructor's Office. Now, anytime you contact me, I will always reply with you within 48 hours. I feel that it's important to contact a student when they have a question, and you will get a reply very quickly. Weekly, we will meet 3 hours of face-to-face contact time, and then we're also going to meet 2 hours of online instruction, which we will be utilizing the weekly online discussion questions. What's going to happen is I'm going to post an online discussion question, several of them, beginning on Sunday night and then open on Monday morning, and then you'll reply back to my question by Thursday, and then by Sunday you'll reply to 3 or more of your peer replies. That will keep everybody engaged, and that's that 2 hours of online instruction we're talking about, and that's inside that Canvas shell. When utilizing mics, we have to be very cognizant that when you go, there's going to be one mic, usually on a table for 3 individuals or 2. You're going to have to push that to talk, and it's going to allow you to talk. Now, when you're done talking, you want to make sure that's off. You don't want to have a hot mic. We want to make sure we keep personal business personal. Now, when we're teaching, what we're going to do is some of our techniques and strategies. We're going to review weekly discussion questions. So what's going to happen is we're going to come back to the class, and then I'm going to ask for feedback to see how the students, their engagement, ask them, a lot of times either during the weekly discussion questions is when students really get those aha moments. So I'm going to ask students to share that because it's important. Because, sometimes when you're in those online discussion questions, you may not see the other students' replies. And so I like to bring it back to the classroom. Also, when we're also going to review the text in PowerPoint and to reinforce those online discussion questions that we talked about, because there may be some students that maybe didn't understand what was being asked in those online discussion questions. And so then when we reinforce it in the classroom through that text and PowerPoint, we're going to make sure that those students clearly understand what the concepts were we were discussing during those weekly discussion questions. Then we're going to do in-class activity. So to do that, we're going to just do some different strategies. First, we'll break up everybody into teams at the host site and remote sites. And then what we're going to do is then we're going to sit there and let them, for how long, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then after that, our next strategy we're going to do is we're going to have individuals pick an individual to come up and speak. And that's one of the more pivotal tools that we have. A lot of times individuals will just pick somebody randomly. You can have a great point and want to convey it, but if you don't have an individual that can present it well, that will take away from a lot of that presentation and then trying to get people to sell on why something should be done in a certain way. And then we're going to look at weekly online discussion questions. Students should reply to 3 or more peer replies. Simply replying, good to go, is not going to give you full credit. It's important that we reply and add some substance and give some references. Some really good posts are students utilize references, clips, YouTube clips, and they bring in and reinforce. If we're talking about marketing and maybe, in senior seminar management, we talk about leadership, bringing in some current maybe CEOs of companies like Apple and so forth and see what they're doing and show some best practices. Next, we're going to also utilize that text and other references to reinforce those weekly online discussion questions because it's important to ensure that we're hitting and focused in those concepts and we're reinforcing it with some outside sources. It's always great to bring in, links and take us to some articles, something maybe like Kevin Plank from Under Armour was describing some of the new techniques out there to advance their companies. Now, if we have network outages, it's very important that if the students if there's a network outage at the remote sites, please contact Shiloh at Pirate Patch IT Support. I sent the email. Also, you have the contact information right in front of you. Now, if you can't contact him and you've been in that for a short amount of time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, please do not leave the classroom. Please contact the instructor, which is myself, and I will determine if you're going to leave at that time. Now, we have to also be cognizant of the microphones, as I mentioned earlier. The microphone does not work. Please contact me via, I have my cell number. At the beginning of this class, I gave it to you. And then also at the same time, contact Shiloh. And then that way we can make determination of maybe there's a disconnect, maybe there's some cables and Shiloh's been doing this Pirate Patch support for a very long time, and he's very good at troubleshooting. Now we're going to look at some demonstrations of some audio. In the corner, we have a mute button. If I click that, it mutes. As I show, if I unclick the red line, it unmutes. Next, we want to look at video settings. If I click here and hit video settings, what we have is we'll have all the different things, general, audio. If I want to do the mirror effect, if I want to turn off video, if I want to hide non-video participants, I can do that as an individual managing the classroom with the host site and the remote sites. Now I want to also utilize share screen. If I click here and hit desktop or even whiteboard, it will show my desktop that I have. And to stop it, I click here. And if I also want to annotate, I can annotate and I can actually draw on something on here. And it's a great tool if I want to reinforce maybe a PowerPoint. Now I stop share, brings me back to my normal video. Now if I want to change the size of this, I can click it. I can make it smaller. If I want to move it around the box. Now if I go back to share screen, and now I have a little box here, I can always make it bigger. But if I'm sitting there in a meeting and I have maybe this in the middle here, I can move it down to the bottom of the screen so it doesn't interfere with the PowerPoint that I'm showing or anything else. And especially if you have 3 or 4 sites, they'll be one below each other. So it can actually take up an area. You want to be very cognizant of that. Now for showing, sharing a second video. Now usually here, if I was doing this from the campus center, one of the campus centers, then I would have a video here. If I click that video and I was at the campus center teaching a class, what it would do is instead of showing me to the host, to the remote sites, it would show the students, which is a good mirror effect. It allows the students to see their peers, which is always a great, interaction. Now, thank you very much, and this concludes my Zoom demonstration.